All right, it is Oscar night. We are mere hours away from Hollywood's biggest night of the year, the 86th Annual Academy Awards. And as we always do every year, this is an opportunity to present everyone with a live Movie Geeks United episode where we'll give you our last-minute predictions and we'll talk about what we'll expect from the evening, and we'll even play some of our interviews with some of the nominees this year. Gentlemen, how are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm very good.
Yes, I'm excellent. Good to, good
are
to
you,
be here.
Are you guys in tuxes?
No, I'm very casual. I'm very casual. I mean, not Jeff Bridges, Lebowski casual, but I'm casual though. I'm in a jersey tuxedo, which would be a wife beater.
Oh, good. That's a nice image.
That is a wonderful image.
Actually,
wow.
Actually, it's not true. I'm not in a wife beater. I'm just in a normal T-shirt. But I thought that would be funny.
Yeah, I prefer to think of you in a wife beater. Okay. First question of the night. First question of the night. I want to talk about what you guys expect from the actual ceremony. Ellen DeGeneres is hosting for the second time, and she has made it clear that she'll be working the audience, as what she did last time she hosted too. She'll walk into the audience and really interact with a lot of the people out there. I like Ellen DeGeneres very much. What are you guys expecting?
Well, I think I like her. I think she did a good job. I mean, I think I hear people have been, aren't crazy about her as a host. I think she's done a pretty good job. So that's actually I don't expect her to do, she's good at this. She's really good at this type of thing. She does a good job on her daytime talk show. So I don't really expect her to be at fault here. So that's the least of my worries.
You're already thinking you don't expect her to be at fault, so you're already expecting to kind of assess blame somewhere?
Oh, there'll be blame.
Every year.
There'll be blame because it is one of the worst produced shows, I think, that it's a wretched show. It's really wretched. So let's just hope. I mean, we do kind of hope there'll be outbursts. We really do hope there'll be some sort of disorder, some sort of chaos or something, because it's a really, if you think about it just from a production, from a show standpoint, it's a horrible show.
Tell me what's wrong with the actual show in your mind.
It is. I really only have to go back as far as when Jon Stewart hosted it, and you would think that Jon Stewart would have been one of the great hosts of the show, that he would be asked back, but he wasn't. They are so smug. They are so insular. They are so wrapped up in themselves. In one sense, it should be the greatest night of this industry, the greatest night of the year. And it always just comes across as it does come across as self-congratulatory shit at the end of it.
That's what any award show is, a self-congratulatory.
Oh, it is. But I just think it's a really bad show. But this is what I'm thinking. This is where my guns are aimed at the in memoriam segment that, is who is going to be left out.
Why?
Who is going to be left out? I don't think, a lot of people say, oh, this is my Super Bowl. No, it's not my Super Bowl. Actually, I have to be very honest, since I don't have a movie up, or I'm not, my interest as I've gotten older has really dwindled on this. And it's dwindled because I think, part of the reason is we talked about this in the snubs. When we talked about snubs, you have 10 pictures that you can nominate. You only nominate 9. You have one of the best years in recent memory, and you can only fill 9 of them. There's not another movie you could put in that 10th slot. I already have issues with that. But
okay. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. In all honesty and fairness,
yeah.
I think that that when you look at the specifics, the Oscars are a bunch of BS.
Yes.
But but because what makes up the Academy and what we keep hearing about, that sometimes they don't actually watch the movies, and there's not enough of a widespread of films that are recognized, and you can go on and on and on. But regardless of all of that, there's something ingrained in me, and I think a lot of people that love movies and the Oscars that find magic, like Oscar night. Like, I'm always so excited, and I don't want anyone talking during the ceremony. It gets me. It like always does.
Right, of course. I understand that, and I'm not making light of that. I think what I'm making light of is, though, it just seems like something always goes wrong. Although I didn't think was last year. Who hosted last year?
It was Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Oh. And people hated that. I mean, I was talking to someone at one of my jobs. People hated it. And, look, when you ask Seth MacFarlane to host your Oscars, you should know what you're getting. I mean, you don't know that.
It was a bad decision anyway.
Dean, let me ask you this. Can I ask you a question, Dean, real quick?
Yeah.
Isn't hosting the Oscars one of the most thankless jobs? I mean, can't you really not win? I mean, the stacks it's stacked against you. The odds are stacked against you.
I just think that they have to find a specific kind of host. And I believe that Ellen DeGeneres is that kind of host, that sort of person that is obviously an insider but feels like an outsider. Or acts like one,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing. You remember Bob Hope and Johnny Carson both? Well, Carson didn't have a dog in the hunt as far as movies went, so he was kind of an outsider. But also, Bob Hope was sort of successful because he always complained that he was never going to get an Oscar and all that kind of stuff. So that was the kind of the ongoing joke.
But they were perfect. They were perfect hosts.
But I feel like Ellen hits that mark as well. We'll get more confirmation of that tonight. So I don't think that it's a completely impossible and thankless task. And also, Billy Crystal was great in his time, of course, but he was a true insider. So I mean, as inside he is.
Why wasn't Letterman? Why wasn't Letterman or why wasn't Stewart? Because Stewart certainly
doesn't. I think Letterman, for instance, was kind of scuttled by. I know this sounds ridiculous for somebody like Letterman, but I think that he was scuttled by nerves, kind of a little bit, so. But I mean, there have been other successful hosts too. I mean, I kind of like Whoopi Goldberg. I think she did an okay job. She was funny, and then sometimes they try to get too edgy, and I don't think this is the show for edgy.
That's the irony.
That's the big drawback. That's the big drawback because this is as establishment as it gets. This award show.
Yeah.
So if you're too kind of offbeat, which is what Letterman was, and I think that's why he didn't really register. Or if you're too aggressive, which many people thought that Seth MacFarlane and Chris Rock were, then it doesn't quite fit with the format, like the tried and true Oscar format.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good. Chris Rock is a good example.
You have to walk like a kind of a tightrope between being jokey about the ceremony and like saying, hey, it doesn't really mean a whole lot, and also being very reverent. So it's a difficult job, but I don't think it's a thankless one.
No, I don't know if it's thankless.
I just think in recent years they've tried to goose up the ratings because we're increasingly more of a profit oriented society anyway, but also they're trying to build that museum, so they're trying to get as much money as they can to do these things that they're doing, and one of the ways that they've been trying to do it is messing with the formula, seeing what works and what doesn't work. And
we'll talk a little bit more about the formula. We'll talk more about the formula in a little bit, but first I want to play a clip. This is a great guy. He's, in my opinion, he's the greatest Los Angeles tour guide ever. I can't see how anyone would be better. I took one of his tours this last trip I took there, and he's like Mr. LA. And he has a YouTube channel. Brian Donnelly is his name, so you can look him up on YouTube, where he's posting these Oscar minutes. They're like video segments where he's showing you how they prepare for the big day. And there's a lot of surprising stuff in there, and I wanted to play one clip of it to give you a sense of what the environment is there outside of what the cameras are picking up tonight during the red carpet. So here's Brian in a little video segment of his.
Yeah, during the Academy Awards, Hollywood Boulevard is closed from Vine coming across all the way across past Orange. And you line up here at Cherokee where they have the security checkpoint, and you have to go through all of this right here, and they have the mirrors, they go underneath, they're searching for bombs, they're searching for anything. They're just making sure that security is really, really tight here. We're here on McAdam, and we're going to go down here through the back alley. This is the old Scientology building, the old Christie Hotel. They've gotten a kind of a little cottage, interesting, because they know that people have to funnel through here, so they've got things set up here where they start little bacon-wrapped hot dogs. The bacon-wrapped hot dog, by the way, if you didn't know this, it was named the hot dog of the city. They actually made a charter or something like that where they voted on it. So while you're watching ABC and watching it on the news or whatever, you see the helicopters, you see the Goodyear blimp. Here's what you don't see. You don't see the sharpshooters. You don't see the other security. And if you look here, just on top, right on top of the Max Factor building, there's two guys posted up there.
Yeah, so his camera picks up the sharpshooters on top of the building.
Sharpshooters at the top.
Yeah,
yeah.
No lie, they're up there with rifles and stuff. I mean, that's something you don't think about.
Yeah, they don't have any shot for them, you know. But I watched all of his stuff on his channel, and it was extremely entertaining. So
he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Because I took that Hollywood Death tour with him, and he was like so entertaining and completely knowledgeable about everything. I mean, it's in his vocabulary. So. Anyway, so check that out. Donnellywood.com is his website, 2 N's, 2 L's, Donnellywood.com, and you'll find a lot of really delectable stuff on there. Go ahead, Dean. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was particularly taken with one moment in one of his videos where he was standing at one particular place where he could see the Roosevelt Hotel, which is the first place that the Oscars were held. And then you could also see the Kodak Theater, and you could see the Chinese Theater, Grauman's Chinese, where I think two ceremonies were held there.
Yeah. And I thought the first place that they held the Oscars was the Pantages Theater, which is on the other end of Hollywood Boulevard, and it was just a meeting room. It was a conference room. It wasn't theater. But yeah, a major history there that you'll find. So I want to talk about last-minute thoughts on predictions in just a moment, and we're going to play a series of 5 clips with 5 of the Oscar nominees from tonight that we've done interviews with in the past couple of months. But first, we got on the topic of the format of the show. Now, the format is kind of unavoidable in a large sense because there's something like 24 categories, and it's not like the Grammys where they have 100 categories and they give a lot of them out, outside of the actual ceremony.
Right.
They give out all 24 during the ceremony. You wouldn't recommend changing that, would you?
I would try to make it shorter though. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you try to make it shorter though, or condense it in some ways? I mean.
Well, I think all the fat in it are all the musical performances that don't have anything to do with that particular year, or and then the monologues, the opening 15 minutes. I mean, you can point at certain fat on it, but
I wouldn't get rid of the monologue. I would definitely get rid of. I mean, it seems that the montages are not popular. It seems that they are not popular with certain segments.
I like the
Team America montage. I'll tell you what I think should be cut, really. You know how they go to, all through the night, they go to Best Picture, they go to each nominee for Best Picture and host a little clip kind of thing for it?
Yeah.
and they have an
I'd
actor
get rid of that
there
in a
talking about
heartbeat.
it. They should get rid of that. I mean, that takes up 10 minutes right there. So,
well, yeah, I'd get rid of that. If you don't know what's nominated or you don't know what the film's about, get lost.
Just save
go
all
home.
that stuff for the end. Save it for the end, and also they should pick clips. Never show a clip that's like a trailer, and also don't show the same clip that we've seen 1,000 times before. Like, show something different.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also the special musical tributes, and I understand that this is a big event. They want to hype it up as a big event. They want it to be a must-see thing, and sometimes that means that you want to book like unique talent that are doing something that they haven't done before. So tonight they're doing, for whatever reason, they're paying tribute to The Wizard of Oz, 1939 movie. Maybe it's like, what is that, the 75th anniversary of Wizard of Oz this year?
It
Maybe
will
that's
be.
why they're
It will
doing
be. Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. Do we really need that though?
So they're doing it with
no.
Judy Garland's children are coming up, and I guess Liza Minnelli will sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
She's going to sing. I think she is. And will there be booze? Before during the segment.
There'll be booze in her glass that she's holding. Well,
that's the funniest thing you've ever said, dude.
Well, I mean, will there be booze? I mean, Liza Minnelli and the Garland kids are going to be there. I mean, they're all going to be, pleased. I mean, that would be exciting. Hell, I would set the DVR for that.
I thought when you said booze, I thought you meant people going boo, boo.
No, I mean alcohol. I mean, they're Garlands. They have that in their DNA. I mean, come on.
Right, okay, all right.
Wow, we're really the Wizard of Oz? That's what we're celebrating tonight?
But that's not even the theme of the show. The theme of the show apparently is movie heroes. So there's going to be lots of other segments where they're talking about movie heroes, or maybe there'll be the one segment like they did with Bond last year. I don't understand it.
Oh, and that was, and I love Bond and everything. That was, I mean, when they do these segments and there's such a build up to them, and then you watch them, you're just like, really? This is what you guys are talking about?
The actual presentation of Bond wasn't very special at all last year, but hearing Shirley Bassey come out and sing.
Oh no, that was great.
That was tremendous.
Yeah, that's awesome, but. It's I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but like the planning that they make, you hear about it, and then when you watch it, you're like, hell, my sixth grade class could have done a better job of that. I mean, come on, I mean.
I think that one of the other problems with the Oscar show is that it is controlled to the nth degree. And there's absolutely no room made for anything wild to happen. All wildness is kind of shunted out of it, and it's all kind of planned wildness. So it takes some of the juice out of the show.
Liveness. It takes the liveness.
Yeah, no, of course it does. I mean, that goes without saying. It's ironic that it is for such a, you're celebrating all this creativity, and it is so controlled, so meticulous. I mean, it's embarrassing, I think. But that's just me. I mean,
well, I don't have any kind of. I enjoy it for all of its faults and its pluses as well. Like I just dig it. I dig it mainly for just the historical aspect of it.
No, of course. I mean, that's a good thing.
Through it,
That's a good thing that you bring up. That's a great thing that you actually bring up about the historical nature of it. Do you think? I mean, tonight history could very well be made, and will be made, especially when it comes to director. I mean. That's going to be a big thing tonight. I'm gathering it's going to be McQueen or Alfonso Cuarón, so that's going to be a huge deal. Let's not make small about that, but that's going to be, I think, where history will be made tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
and possibly screenwriting too.
Possibly in Best Picture, possibly in Supporting Actress if Jennifer Lawrence gets it, because she would be the youngest two-time Oscar winner in history. Possibly for documentary, for if Act of Killing gets it, because it might help shed a little bit more light on the whole Indonesian genocide problem. And also, possibly in, definitely, with McConaughey probably going to win. That's sort of historical, too, in the sense that he's another person that sort of turned his career around in a major way. So, I don't know. I mean, there's always little bits of history that are interesting to film lovers and everything. And
let me do this. I want to talk a little bit after this segment. We'll talk about some of our last minute predictions and what we think might be the surprises. But first, I want to play the first of our 5 Oscar nominee interview clips. This is with Best Cinematography nominee Bruno Delbonnel, who is nominated for his work filming Inside Llewyn Davis. This was a unique case for the Coen brothers because their regular DP is Roger Deakins. Deakins was unavailable, so they had to choose a replacement for him, so they chose Delbonnel, and Inside Llewyn Davis is an exquisite-looking movie. And ironically enough, Roger Deakins is also nominated in this category this year for Prisoners, right alongside Delbonnel. So here's a brief clip of Delbonnel talking about that dynamic of working with the Coen brothers for a first time as a very different DP for them.
Yeah, I'm just expecting now, since I did Inside Llewyn Davis with the Coen brothers. Yeah, it's going to be about Roger Deakins sooner or later. Even at Cannes Film Festival, the first question at the press conference was how was it to work with Bruno after you've done 12 or 14 movies with Roger Deakins? That's the first question they had at the press conference, and and they didn't ask it to me; they asked it to the Coen brothers. So, but it's Roger Deakins would have shot Inside Llewyn Davis, it would be a different movie, and that's it. Period. And Roger is a fantastic cinematographer, and I was scared when I started this movie because he's. I have to fit big shoes, so just to fill big shoes. And I felt uncomfortable at the very beginning, and then I forgot about it. I said, I'm just doing what I think is right for this movie. That's it, period. And it kind of worked. Joel and Ethan were really happy with what I've done.
Okay, that was Best Cinematography nominee Bruno Delbonnel. He's up this year for Inside Llewyn Davis. His next movie that he shot is Tim Burton's Big Eyes, which he was in the process of shooting when we did that interview earlier in the year. Okay, my thought is, and Dean, I was sharing this with you last night, that this is like the first time in a long time that I can remember the Best Picture race being so tight. I honestly think Gravity and 12 Years a Slave are neck and neck, and it could go either way. Do you agree, Jerry?
Yeah, I do. I think it's between those two. I really do.
Doesn't this really make you want to see? Doesn't it really make you want to see the voting totals to see how far apart they were, whichever one wins tonight?
Yeah, I would. I would like to see that, but I do think it's between those two. There's some people that say American Hustle might get it, but I don't see that happening now. I do see it being one of those two. That would be an upset if it's not one of those two.
Yeah. Let me take a phone caller. I think Owen's on the phone. Owen, are you there?
Hello?
Hey, Owen.
Hey.
What you got to say about the Oscars tonight?
I have no idea what is going to happen.
Well, that's fair enough.
No
Okay.
idea?
No, not really.
Are you
excited about it?
Are you pulling for anybody?
12 Years a Slave.
For Best Picture?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you want to win? Who do you want to win actor?
Chiwetel.
Okay. So 12 years all the way. I think Lupita's going to win. I think that's a sure bet.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, it's like the first award, so we'll know straight away for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of the actual ceremony, like, what are you most looking forward to?
Probably, I don't know really. What are you?
But you'll be
looking
watching
forward
it,
to?
right? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you guys this: what could be particular upsets tonight? What might upset? Thank you, Owen, for your call.
Best actor is the one big upset that I think might happen. Is that I mean, saying that I still think that DiCaprio has a shot here, and
oh yeah, I mean,
and if he does win, it would be a shocker, no question about it. But it's possible, I think that's the biggest possibility we're going to have for a major upset. Also, maybe in screenplay, maybe Philomena overtaking 12 Years a Slave, adapted screenplay, and maybe also in supporting actress too, with Lawrence taking Nyong'o's place. But all of those would be shocking. So.
They would be shocking. What about? Is there any chance you think Dern could take it from? It's a very slim chance. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I would have said Dern was a sure thing. It's amazing.
If Dern won, it would be an Adrian Brody moment, except in reverse, because he'd be the older version of that. But
right. Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of moment that would be, because that would be completely unexpected.
And a couple of months ago, it wouldn't have been,
I really do think it's McConaughey front runner, and Chiwetel and Leo probably neck and neck, right behind. I mean, that's the sense I get. But Leo has gotten a lot of traction in the past couple of weeks because he's really been working the Academy. I mean, he's been doing a lot of events with them and a lot of interviews and that kind of stuff.
Also, just on taking out the politics and the campaigning and all that, it is a tour de force performance. He is the movie. You don't have a movie without him. I mean, he really is.
Oh yeah.
This is the performance of his life. If you really want to, I mean, this is what when they talk about. This is really going to be one of his truly great performances. That he's going to be remembered
for. The
other
thing going for him is that he's been nominated several times, and the industry genuinely likes him because he's good for the industry. He's good business for the industry.
Right.
And they might think it's time for him. Whereas McConaughey, we feel like he's just started this really great, serious track in his career. So maybe they think, well, McConaughey's time will be another year. I mean, that could be
and
thinking.
He'll get an Emmy next year.
You can easily see that happening, Also, I wanted to mention an original song, I think, there's a little bit of a horse race there between the song from Frozen and the song from Despicable Me, the Pharrell Williams, Happy. So there's a possibility there might be.
I listened to both of them the other day, and I mean, Happy is such a great, catchy tune, obviously. And then the Frozen song, I understand why it works, but that's very typically Broadway, and maybe that's the kind of song that the Academy would most like to award. But I mean, you can see every aspiring Broadway actress taking their turn at that song. It's just like one of those songs.
Yes, that's true. We'll be hearing it on the American Idol watchers will be hearing it ad nauseum.
Probably.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
The red carpet's going on right now. They just showed Olivia Wilde with Jason Sudeikis, and Bruce Dern has arrived. Bruce Dern with his wife, and he has another seat for his nose hair. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that, Jerry?
Yeah.
Bruce Dern trims that nose hair.
It made sense for him to have all that nose hair in the movie, but maybe not on the award circuit.
It's like he's smuggling Sasquatch into the ceremony. Okay, let's go through some of these other categories, which might be difficult to determine. Best documentary. This is always difficult to determine. There is rarely a very sure thing in this category, because even if you think it's a sure thing, a lot of times they'll give it to someone completely unexpected. So this year is the act of killing, Cutie and the Boxer, Dirty Wars, The Square, 20 Feet from Stardom. Now, the race would seem to be between the act of killing and 20 Feet from Stardom. I think 20 Feet from Stardom has the edge, but the Square has also gained a lot of traction as of late.
It's too topical. I'm going to say, let's just say Cutie and the Boxer. I'm not being facetious when I say that, because I'm
laughing because that's probably true.
It is. Because the Oscars are not topical. They're topical 2 or 3 years later, but they're never topical at the moment. Never.
Remember, your original prediction in this, Jerry, was 20 Feet from Stardom, and that's not a topical movie either.
No, it's not. So I do think 20 Feet from Stardom is the, but it's also the crowd pleaser too. That's the problem, though. It is.
But this is another point that I thought of the other night when I was doing Jason's Oscar show, is that the best documentary last year I was so pleased with, because I so love Searching for Sugar Man, and that won. But if 20 Feet from Stardom wins this year, that'll be 2 years in a row that a crowd-pleasing musical documentary.
Right. True.
That's very true.
If the act of killing got it, that would be extraordinary. I don't see Dirty Wars getting it.
But the act of killing feels too vicious and revolutionary for the older Academy voters to vote on. Am I wrong about that, Dean? Or?
No, you're not.
I agree. I think that it would be definitely a. I'm still picking act of killing, but I definitely agree. It's a tough movie for people to watch. So yes. It wouldn't be the first thing on the stack. It'll be the last thing on the stack that they're going to want to watch, if they're like, I'm just not ready to watch this. But
so let's talk about the pros and cons of let's talk about the pros and cons of Best Picture. Now, because we mentioned that it's neck and neck between 12 Years and Gravity, probably with a very outside chance of An American Hustle sneaking in. But what is the main thing running against 12 Years a Slave winning Best Picture, do you think? Why would they give it to Gravity instead of 12 Years?
Well, just the fact that Gravity is going to, it's probably going to take the majority of the technical awards. I think that there's a possibility that those people who chose it as the number one in those categories will just end up saying, well, obviously it should win. And when it gets to Best Picture, obviously Gravity should win. It just won 5 or 6 others. So that's the big thing that's standing in 12 Years a Slave's way. Do you think another big thing is people talking about not seeing it or not wanting to see it? Yes, there's that as well. People who were not ready to experience the films. The film's pretty overwhelming.
Another thing that makes them neck and neck is that they tie it at the PGA, right? And that's oftentimes, the majority of times, a major predictor of what will win Best Picture. But at the same time, Gravity was not nominated for screenplay, Dean, as you've brought up before, and that's a major indicator of who will win Best Picture. They're usually always up for Best Screenplay as well.
Yeah.
It's very rare that Best Picture winner is not nominated for screenplay. So I mean that, and also what could be standing in Gravity's way is the sense that it's just not an Oscar type movie with it being. I know people don't like to call it a science fiction movie, but it is a science fiction movie because it's fiction and it has science in it, so it's science fiction.
That's the very definition of science fiction.
So,
I would like to say something about both of these movies. I have no desire to ever watch either one of them again. I like both of them very much, but there's no reason to revisit either of them. Gravity was fun. I saw it in 3D. I didn't see it in the IMAX, and I'm not going to obviously see it in the IMAX now. It was great. It was a great movie-going experience. Fine, boom, done. I'm not going to get seeing anything out of it, go watching it on cable or DVD or whatever. 12 Years a Slave, it's brutal, it's awesome, but like Steve McQueen's two previous very good films, I just don't want to sit through it again. It was great. I got everything I needed out of it. But these are going to be the case of two Best Picture winners that have no rewatchable quality for me whatsoever. None.
Yeah, I definitely agree with 12 Years a Slave and its rewatchability. I have watched it a second time, and it's just it's tough the second time too. I mean,
yeah.
But man, I tell you what, I really get into how McQueen makes it that way,
No, but he did that with Hunger too. Hunger's a brilliant film, but I don't want to sit through it again. Shame, maybe not so brilliant, but I still don't want to sit through it again. I got everything I needed. It's not like, hey, I want to watch that scene where Michael Fassbender does this. No, I get it. I got it. But with 12 Years a Slave, it is so brutal. It is so brutal that I really don't want to sit through it again. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe. But I was thinking about that the other day. These are two films. Now, here's the other problem. There are two films in these nine films I do want to watch again. The Wolf of Wall Street and American Hustle, and I don't know what that says about me.
Well, I just think you like that style of film, but, those both have similar styles to them and similar themes. They're both about con men, and they're both, So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that says about you either, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean,
I mean, I think I call them how-to films. They're how-to films.
I think that Wolf of Wall Street is going to end up being the Best Picture, and Her are going to be the two Best Picture
nominees. Her's another one, yeah.
That are like eminently rewatchable in the future. Yeah.
Okay, I want to go through some lists tonight as we're doing this thing, little Oscar trivia lists, and these were provided to us by our good listener, Jason Warner.
Yeah, I got these too. He's a good guy. I talked to him last night. Great guy. I love him. Very nice, very cordial. And I talked to him online. Just a wonderful human being.
So here's a list that he sent us, 20 celebrated filmmakers who never won an Oscar.
Mm.
So tonight it's either going to be Cuarón or McQueen, probably. One of them will go home with the Oscar. But here are legendary directors that never have. Stanley Kubrick never won an Oscar for Best Director. He won for, what did he win for? He won for 2001 visual effects. He was part of the team for that. Alfred Hitchcock never won. Alfred Hitchcock actually, in America at least, was not very celebrated at all in terms of award achievement for either one. Even critics awards. So, but he did win didn't he win an honorary though? Like
he won I guess he won the Thalberg. Yeah.
Yeah, in '68 he won the Thalberg. Orson Welles. He was, obviously he was never appreciated. That's the great tragedy of Orson Welles.
Yeah. He never won one as a director. Now, hold on a minute. He never won one as a director, but he did win for the screenplay along with Herman Mankiewicz for Susan Cain, and he did win an honorary Oscar in the 70s. So, just be clear.
This is a list of directors who never won Best Director.
Okay.
Robert Altman never won Best Director. One of the greatest, most distinctive directors ever.
Keep going.
Sidney Lumet, one of the greats, never won.
Mm-hmm.
He did win an honorary award in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Howard Hawks never won Best Director.
You give it 3 right now. They just show you how BS this whole thing is, you know.
Charlie Chaplin never won a directing award.
Yeah, right there. Mm-hmm.
All of these guys eventually did win. Mm-hmm.
Nor was he ever nominated for Best Director.
No, that's not true.
What was he nominated
for? That's not true. For Great Dictator, he wasn't nominated for Great Dictator.
He had 3 Oscars, but none of them were from directing. One was for score, and the 2 others were honorary.
That's true. Well, that's definitely, he won those. So, okay. Well, anyway.
Sergio Leone, and never nominated.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because he was not really. I got to say this about Sergio Leone. He was never really. It's only after his death that you see his influence and you see the filmmakers speaking up, because he was not well respected, at least not in this country, by critics and things. That came later. That came much later.
Hitchcock too. They were considered makers of popular films, or in Leone's case, maybe more culty popular films.
Exploitation almost. Exploitation,
yes.
If you really want to go within Leone's case. I mean,
yes, yeah. So
another director.
Mm-hmm.
Another director that never won Best Director, Ernst Lubitsch. He was nominated 3 times, but he did get an honorary award in 1947. Cecil B. DeMille never won Best Director. He was nominated once for The Greatest Show on Earth in that category.
And why that film, I don't understand.
He won for being its producer, too, so that year. Okay.
Akira Kurosawa. Absolutely. Probably, I think Kurosawa stands next to Hitchcock as the most influential of all filmmakers.
Yeah.
I really do. He was nominated for Ran in 1985. But he never won.
And you couldn't think to nominate him before that for for Stray Dog, High and Low, The Hidden Fortress. Last one you couldn't. Yeah, there's so many you could have nominated, and you couldn't think to nominate. Okay, go on. This is getting very interesting.
Stanley Kramer, nominated in the category 3 times, never won. But the same year that he was nominated for Nuremberg, which was 1961, he was awarded the honorary Oscar.
Right.
Fritz Lang, no Best Director nominations for Fritz Lang.
And no honorary Oscar for him either. So that's a real shocker.
Yeah.
Now, this gentleman has won more foreign language Oscars than anyone else. He's been nominated 3 times for Best Director, but never won Best Director, and that's Fellini.
And that's criminal. That's criminal right there. If 8.5 is probably is one of the most important movies made about movies, and you're not going to recognize him. And of course, they did give him an honorary Oscar, right? In the late '80s, early '90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 93.
Yeah.
You're not going to recognize this guy. You've got issues. You got issues about everyone before.
Especially considering that 8.5 was clearly the best movie of that year. So
right.
It is mind-boggling that they
don't have a great track record with nominating foreign film directors. I think that they just take care of that in the actual foreign film category.
Yeah. Until recently, with Ang Lee or someone, they've gotten better about that. But no, for the most part,
they have to
suck.
make a film in English. I mean, there's never been, even the artists, they had to do it, and they had to do it as a silent movie to get a foreign film to win.
Right.
Another one that never won a Best Director Oscar is Sam Peckinpah. He was also never nominated in the category. He was nominated for screenplay for The Wild Bunch.
Right. But not even for Ride the High Country, which I find mind-boggling. But no, look, he was a bad boy. They were never going to nominate him. And I think his reputation always preceded him, and it doesn't matter. I mean, his influence is all over the place. But there's no. I mean, I can see why they wouldn't nominate him. But what about Ride the High Country? What about The Ballad of Cable Holly? I mean, there are a couple films
you have to remember that Ride the High Country in the year that it came out, it was basically a B picture. I mean, like literally on the B list of a double feature.
Of course. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising that they didn't nominate it that year because it didn't have a very high profile, and it's only been in later years, like it's been raised up, and also with Peckinpah too. Like everybody, just his reputation for being a violent director in an era where the violence was shocking, was probably something that kept him from getting up there.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, but
now they were concerned. I'm watching the red carpet. They were concerned that there was going to be rain, that it was going to storm there. It's pretty sunny there right now. At least it looks like it. And Lupita Nyong'o just walked out of her limo, and she's wearing a really beautiful kind of. I can't believe I'm talking about fashion. She's wearing a really beautiful baby blue kind of really open dress. She looks really pretty. Ingmar Bergman never won Best Director. He was nominated in the category twice, and 3 of his films won Best Foreign Film.
Right.
Jean-Luc Godard never won Best Director. Honorary Oscar in 2011.
Bergman got an honorary Oscar too, by the way, in the 70s, I think. But.
Okay. Otto Preminger, number 1.
Was he nominated though? Let me ask you that. Was he ever nominated though?
Yeah,
he was nominated for Laura and for Anatomy of a Murder.
No.
And The Cardinal. Okay.
Yeah. Arthur Penn never won Best Director.
Wow.
Nominated 3 times in the category for Miracle Worker, Bonnie and Clyde, and Alice's Restaurant.
Also, somebody who never won an honorary Oscar.
That's criminal. He was like an industry staple. I mean,
industry staple. And Bonnie and Clyde is such a sea change of a film, as we talked about on the show many years ago. It's really a shame. I mean,
he's why we have so much violence in movies today. They should have given him the award just for that. Cassavetes never won. Nominated once in the category for A Woman Under the Influence. That's no big surprise. I mean, in terms of Maverick, Altman and Cassavetes are as Maverick as it gets.
Yeah.
Amongst American filmmakers.
If he hadn't died as young as he did, I think they probably would have gotten around to giving him an honorary Oscar. But yeah. But what's interesting about Cassavetes is he's one of that pantheon of directors that's gotten nominated as an actor, as a writer, and as a director. But for 3 different movies. For writer, he was nominated for Faces, and for acting, he was nominated for supporting actor for Dirty Dozen.
Right.
But I think that's an interesting stat.
Okay, let me play a clip real quick. This is the second clip we're going to play of our Oscar nominee interviews that we've done throughout the year. We just recently had a conversation with another Best Cinematography nominee, Fedden Papamichael, who is up for his work on Nebraska. And here's what he had to say about the community amongst cinematographers and what he thinks about one of the other nominees he's up against tonight.
I mean, I've seen probably almost everything this year. And, of course, my fellow nominees, Chivo Emanuel Lubezki, a big fan of his for, decades, since Little Princess, when he sort of broke out as some amazing talent, and just also the way he's developed and his range from Y Tu Mama Tambien to Gravity. Talk about, being able to apply himself to different stories. And Roger Deakins, I've been a fan of his since Sid and Nancy.
Okay, that was just a brief 30 seconds of our, half-hour conversation with him. He's up for Nebraska, which I think that category is pretty close to a lock with Lubezki for Gravity. That movie's just too boundary pushing not to win all the technical, right? Oh, hang on. I'm sorry, guys. I have you muted. Hang on. I got you. I'm bringing you up. Sorry.
It's pretty clear he's going to win, and that's great because I still think he was robbed for the award back with Tree of Life. So
right.
So it'd be nice to see, and Children of Men, frankly. So for those two movies alone, I'd say I'm glad to see
Mark McElligott wrote us and said, "I love the show. I'm listening to you guys as I watch the red carpet. Thanks for a great podcast." Thank you, Mark. He's listening right now. So another category to talk about. Obviously, the technicals are going to go for Gravity. Let's talk about this. This really kind of fascinates me, that Great Gatsby could possibly win 2 awards tonight for costume design and production design. Do you think that's going to happen? I didn't expect Great Gatsby to be a 2-time Oscar winner, but those 2 categories are kind of undeniable how strong they are for that film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think visually you would have to give a lot of consideration to Gatsby, even though it's not a satisfying film. Visually, though it is, it has all that going for it. And I do think you would, and we had even, I think, predicted, all of us, I think, had agreed on Gatsby, if I'm not mistaken, would win these categories.
I just want to give you guys an update. Bruce Dern has trimmed his nose hair. Because I'm looking at it right
now. From Friday night? Okay.
This is a Bruce Dern nose hair alert.
Okay.
He has.
So he's actually smelling the world for the first time. It's like, wow, it's old.
And he's there. He seems to be there with his wife, and his daughter Laura Dern is with him. So it's a good family
nice
for him to.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Okay, so Dean, do you think Great Gatsby will take it in both categories or not?
I'm sticking with production design, but I'm starting to think, more and more that American Hustle will have a second. I still think American Hustle is going to win best original screenplay because they want to give something to David O. Russell. But I think that the voters might look at costume design as another way to reward that film. So I'm starting to think that I'm switching my prediction over to American Hustle for that, even though I think that the reason to watch Great Gatsby is for its set design and costume design, like the major reason. So, but you can't deny that the one thing that everybody is talking about in American Hustle, whether you like the movie or not, you have to admit that the fashions in it were incredibly accurate and also incredibly entertaining. So.
And that's a good thing to bring up, American Hustle, because we don't always, when we think of this category, we do think of Gatsby, but we can't forget that American Hustle, by today's standards, is a period piece. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have even said that, but now, 40 years later, it's a period piece. So that's a very good.
Well, we were talking about this the other night. I mean, costume design seems to go. There's kind of a rule of thumb where the earlier the time period, the greater chance it has of winning costume design. I think when people think of the 70s, they think, well, just go to Goodwill and pick up.
There's that. That's a lot more complicated than that. The earlier the time,
not true
anymore. What about Quest for Fire? Did Quest for Fire get costume design?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We got a makeup design, not a costume design. But yeah, I mean, you can't go to Goodwill and get that stuff anymore. I mean, like,
every hipster's got that stuff. They're going there.
I went to Goodwill, and I'm wearing Amy Adams' dress right now. Actually, there are places.
That is an image I really did not want, but okay.
Actually, when I was in LA, I went to a lot of the kind of vintage and Goodwill type stores that sold secondhand movie costumes. Like, so they had like all the costumes that they had to get rid of for movies like Doubt, and name a movie, they had them. And you would think that a place like that in Hollywood would be high end, but it is just like a Goodwill. Like, you walk in and you smell mothballs, and it feels slightly not clean, and you're looking through used clothes. I mean,
and what's the
but they're all for
on
movies.
These things? What are the prices on something like that? I mean,
too much, especially for something like this is Bruce Springsteen's jacket, or there are a lot of collectors kinds of items in those stores. There's a couple of places there that sell great vintage movie clothes, but I always thought that was interesting, and I tried a couple of them, and I wasn't really charmed by it. But anyway, that's what that is.
That's funny. By the way, I think that you're going to see like an influence from American Hustle on even tonight's fashion on the red carpet and everything. I think you're going to see a lot of those plunging necklines and stuff like Amy Adams had. Stuff. So that's just further proof of like the movie's influence on where things are even today.
Here's a confusing thing for me. Right now on TV on the red carpet, they're showing Julie Delpy, Ethan Hawke, and Linklater. They're all attending together. That's nominated for Best Original Screenplay tonight before midnight, which was a surprising nomination to me because I thought that they a lot of that kind of stuff they made up as they went along. Was I wrong about that?
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
That's meticulously written out.
Okay. Because I remember him talking about the first movie, and he had a script, and Ethan Hawke says, we got to change this whole thing. And they said, we'll change whatever you want on the fly. We'll just kind of make it up as we go along.
That might be the way the first one went, but from what I understand, the rest of them I don't know. That screenplay was not, it being chosen was not surprising to me. I wanted to bring up something. Did you guys read the article called The Nolan Effect that Mark Harris did for Grantland? It's a really great article. In the sea of Oscar articles that come in this time period, this was the best one. Mark Harris is the same guy who wrote that Pictures of the Revolution.
And he has a new book. He has a new book, Five Who Came Back, that was reviewed just today.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm interested in that. But this article was really great. It's subtitled "Why the Larger Best Picture Pool is Actually Shrinking the Number of Oscar Contenders." And it's on Grantland. You can search it. Just search for the Nolan Effect, which is what he calls it, because it was The Dark Knight getting 8 nominations and not making it into the Best Picture that made them want to expand the roster. But what's interesting about the expansion of the roster is, as I've noticed, as Mark Harris has articulated, is that because there's now 10 Best Picture or 9 Best Picture nominees, what happens is they kind of soak up all the rest of the nominations, and they leave very little room for any of those little surprising nominations. Like that we've had in the past years, something like some actor being nominated for something that's not up for Best Picture or whatever.
Right.
So I think that he makes a really good case for going back down to the 5 Best Picture nominations.
Well,
I would do that.
Or something like Short Term 12 or Blue is the One of Color from this year. I mean, the smaller that reminds me exactly of the idea of the multiplex. When they invented the multiplex, they said this will give us a whole another variety of movies, and no, it just gave us more copies of the same movie playing on
it means that
screens.
it means that Anchorman 2 is on 5 screens. That's what it means.
It's the same thing with the expanded Best Picture category. The idea was a good one if you're going to spread the wealth to other smaller films that are deserving of recognition.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because that is something. I mean, I agree with Mark Harris. I've heard about this article. I haven't read the article, but I've heard about. And this is unfortunately very true. I would actually welcome just go back to 5 pictures because the whole idea that you were going to, since you didn't give Nolan anything the next time he made a movie, and I'm certainly not going to give him anything for Interstellar. I would be shocked if that happens. Just forget it. Go back to 5 pictures. But it's a very good point. Where is Short-Term 12? Where is Blue is the Warmest Color? Where is Mud? Where is where are movies like that?
Or things like that. I mean, those are things. If you look at all the the acting nominations, only 3 of them come from non-Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't know. Harris really lays it out and really, makes a very convincing case to go back, to
you have to, I think. I think especially after this year when you could have if you can't, like I said, if you can't fill out 10 pictures in 2013, then go back to just the 5 picture thing because you guys are doing it wrong.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll return with another list in just a bit of, according to Rolling Stone, the 12 greatest performances that were never nominated for Oscars. But first, let's play another clip, the third in our series of Oscar interview clips. This is with Best Makeup nominee. I got to look up his name. I talked to the guy last week, and hey, God, this is terrible, live radio. For the Lone Ranger, Joel Harlow is nominated tonight, and he won previously for his work on Star Trek. Here's what he has to say about the honor of being nominated.
The second that you find out, that you're one of those lucky few that are actually nominated for an Academy Award, I mean, it's surreal. I have been here before once, and it was surreal then, and it doesn't get any less so, being here again. It's a tremendous honor, and I guess the days leading up to it are, you're nervous and, you're incredibly honored and you're proud and, you just want to make sure that, or at least me, I want to make sure that, my crew is acknowledged, because no man is an island, and certainly this film would not have been made without the help of a very talented, makeup and hair department.
In a little bit, we'll be playing our interview clips from our conversations with the Best Sound Editing nominee for All Is Lost, Richard Hymes, and Best Screenplay nominee, Billy Ray, who wrote Captain Phillips and a lot of great other films. But first, let's do our next list. This is according to Rolling Stone. I guess Peter Travers maybe wrote this. The 12 greatest performances not nominated for Oscars, and maybe this will open up a good conversation. Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski, which still comic performances have an uphill climb with Academy.
But this film was dismissed by critics when it came out, too, and audiences. That's what I always found shocking. This was the big follow-up to Fargo, and it was ignored. I mean,
some movies have to percolate a while before they catch on. Now, keep in mind, this is a list from Rolling Stone. So these are the types of movies and performances that you would associate with Rolling Stone magazine. I can tell from these first 2 at least, because their number 2 is Edward Norton in Fight Club. Fight Club
I wouldn't even think that you would nominate Fight Club. It just wasn't. It didn't register, but it just wasn't that. Even in the best of times, a movie like that's not going to get a movie that is condemning, at least on the surface, consumerism. All that is not going to get noticed by the Oscars. Just sorry, it's not. That's not an Oscar caliber film. It just doesn't have what they want. It's too subversive. It's just not going to get it. Now you say you could hit me back and say, what about Network? And Network is very subversive too. But I just don't see Fight Club I never, when I watch Fight Club, and you always hear people before the screening, went to go see the screening, they're talking about nominations for Norton and Pitt. I'm like, what planet are you on? Really?
Yeah.
What planet are you? It's a great movie and all that, but it's just not an Oscar-worthy movie. You're going to tell me those old guys, those old people, and the Academy are going to nominate Fight Club? Give me a break.
I'm watching
It's
the
true.
red carpet. Jared Leto has showed up looking like Jesus in a white tuxedo and a wine-colored bow tie, and Harrison Ford has just shown up with Callista Flockhart looking kind of gruff in a silver goatee. I would imagine Harrison Ford's there because they're talking about movie heroes. That's the theme of tonight's Oscar telecast for
and
some
he's going to reprise them,
some ungodly reason. They're doing that as a theme.
Well, it ain't for 42 or Ender's Game.
Their number 3 film is their number 3 performance is Reese Witherspoon for Election.
Yes.
I would have given, now that I could see, but and that's a brilliant performance, but
they did nominate the screenplay that year. I really thought she was going to get in, and I still look at her winning for Walk the Line as sort of like a makeup Oscar for that. So, but yes, definitely.
Number 4, they say Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights.
Nah.
Yeah, this is Rolling Stone.
Yeah. The soliloquy with the cock, though, definitely.
Their number 5 is Bill Murray for Rushmore.
Yeah,
they made up for it in Lost in Translation. They finally nominated him, but Rushmore at the time was too edgy for them.
I think if Bill Murray had a shot at winning an Oscar, it would have been perfect in the supporting category. Like, I could see that happening.
It would have. He was in the discussion. So, he was definitely in the discussion that year because he had taken a few of the Critics Awards for that performance. So,
but Critics Awards are big different. Critics Awards are big cat. There's a big gap between. This is what I hate when people say, the Critics Award. No, the critics and the Academy members, two totally different.
They are two different entities, but Critics Awards do set a precedent, and they get it out there that this is an awards contender, a possibility to choose from in the pool.
And I'm not making light of Murray's performance, but I think Wes Anderson at the time, I guess it was with the Royal Tenenbaums, that the Academy really took notice, and then abandoned him after that film for a while. But
their number 6 is Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that would have been.
They're number 7. I kind of like this idea. This is Rolling Stone, as I keep saying. It doesn't seem like this list is going very historical. They're not really going back very far because the average reader they're trying to get is, 12. But their number 7 choice is Sacha Baron Cohen for Borat. That would have been like a really brave nomination.
I'm surprised they didn't go that way. I'm only surprised that there was going to be one that you would go with in those kind of performances. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Well, they did bend over backwards and give him a screenplay nomination in lieu of a.
Well, I think that's because of that one scene where Sacha Baron Cohen bent over backwards in Borat. Their number 8, God, this is such an odd list. Their number 8 is Natalie Portman in The Professional.
That year was a very good year. That would have been the year that, I could see that. That is still one of her best performances.
Yeah. It's true, but she's not. I don't know. That movie it doesn't hinge on the performances for me for some reason. I don't know. But
I would have given Gary Oldman a nomination for that performance. I would have given Jean Reno
Gary Oldman, that's one of those supporting performances that you expect every year being nominated. Like the really over the top, very colorful supporting. That
and
kind
he's
of
great in that.
I just don't think the movie was built for like Academy material. But
but it's a great movie. But I don't see it. It's not an Academy. It's not what we consider an Oscar bait movie by any stretch of the imagination.
That's kind of a movie. That's also kind of a movie that garnered its cult after it had been on theater screens. So
no, it definitely picked up, in video and home video and everything.
Here's their number 9 choice. Here's their number 9 choice. I think this would have been a really brave choice, and it's a great performance. Christian Bale in American Psycho.
That would have been great, but I don't. Remember, that movie is more of a cult movie. That was not well received when it came out.
I think since this is Rolling Stone, pretty much all these movies are.
You're right.
Yeah.
If Peter Travers came up with this list, I don't think Peter Travers came up with this because
I guess what I want to know is, do you think that these performances were deserving of a nomination?
It's hard.
Some of them were deserved to win. I mean, like Reese Witherspoon, Naomi Watts, Jeff Bridges. All of those should have been the winners that year.
Yeah. Their number 10 is Sean Penn in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That would have been.
I still think that's one of his best performances. That's one of his greatest performances. It's one of the ones. I wish he would do more comedy. I really do.
Me too.
He definitely needs to do a little bit more comedy. Some comedy that actually works.
And This Must Be the Place doesn't count, okay?
Yeah, or neither does Walter Mitty, for that matter.
No, it doesn't. God, no.
Their number 11, which is absolutely 100% more than any other performance I've seen, should have been nominated. Probably should have won, but definitely had the prestige and the volume, the size to be nominated. And that's Malcolm McDowell for A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, that's one of the most ridiculous non-winners ever, or non-nominees. He wasn't even nominated that year.
Yeah.
I mean, they went with Topol from Fiddler on the Roof stole his.
Oh, fuck Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay, their
God,
next
please
one.
Scare me.
Their next one is actually my number 1 choice for the one acting nomination that should have happened that never did. My own personal number 1 choice, and their number 12 is Anthony Perkins in Psycho.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, these last two, it's really interesting. We talk about DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. Both of these performances, Perkins and McDowell, are absolutely vital and are so important to the movie that, I mean, especially McDowell for A Clockwork Orange. I mean, it's all him. I mean, it's Kubrick. Don't get me wrong, but it's McDowell. He is our unreliable narrator. We need him in every scene, for better or for worse.
Okay, we'll give some closing thoughts on the Oscars and what we expect from it tonight. Let's play a clip from sound editing nominee for his work in All Is Lost. This is Richard Himes. We did a half-hour conversation with him that we aired a few weeks ago, and he goes into a lot of the films that he worked on, including Saving Private Ryan, which I know won him an Oscar. And he did a lot of Spielberg movies and Indiana Jones and all of that kind of stuff. Here he is talking about his work on All Is Lost and his nomination for it. For the layperson just watching a movie, they assume that the sound that they're hearing was captured during that take, and rightfully so, because that's the impression that you want the moviegoer to have, that it's happening.
Exactly.
But how? What would you say is the percentage of sound that's actually captured on the take?
Well, on this particular film, they did a great job of recording. The recordists on the set were excellent. They did what they could, but of course the film is about boats being in a storm and things, and they weren't in a storm when they were filming. Obviously, that would be insane to try and film during a storm. So all that is simulated in tanks, which have all the wrong sound for what we're looking for. So basically, despite the fact that they did a very good job of recording, probably 95% of it or more was not really usable. There were a few things that were used here and there, but most of it was inappropriate. Either wasn't loud enough or distinct enough to cut through the storm or whatever else was going on. The quiet lapping of the waves were recorded, but J.C. Chandler, the director, quite rightly so, realized that the sound really wasn't very important to him while he was shooting, so he was talking over all of the takes, basically directing the crew, directing Robert Redford, and taken advantage of the fact that he was basically making a silent film to be able to coach people live, which is, an opportunity that most directors don't have. So, yeah, basically we were starting with a clean slate, a completely empty palette of sound, which is a great opportunity. It's really just fantastic. The small amount of dialogue I dealt with, and it was very simple to deal with.
Okay, that was Richard Himes up tonight for Best Sound Editing for All Is Lost. In a little bit, we'll close the show with a clip of our interview with Billy Ray and Hans Zimmer's Oscar music theme. It's always a treat every year. So let me ask you guys this. What are you most looking forward to seeing during tonight's telecast?
Best Picture, obviously. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing whether Sarah Jones, the film worker that recently died on set in an accident in Georgia, filming the new Greg Allman movie. We haven't talked about this on the show. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Right, no, good for you for bringing it up.
But it'll be interesting to see how somebody's going to say something about her on the show. I don't know that it'll be her name will be included in the in memoriam segment or whatever, but somebody's going to say something about it, about her passing. So, and I'm interested in seeing Bill Murray, mainly because I'm interested in seeing whether he memorializes, Harold Ramis, and I'm interested in all the song nominees. All the song nominees. I'm interested in watching their performances. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was telling you that I did read something like they interviewed someone with the Academy that remained anonymous, and he said that it's very doubtful that Sarah Jones will be included in the in memoriam segment, that she'll just be listed on the website. So I wouldn't be surprised.
What about Harold Ramis?
I would think maybe.
Maybe, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's what
I would think he'll be included. Yeah. And of course, our feeling is that Bette Midler's going to sing Wind Beneath My Wings during the in memoriam segment, which will be particular eye-rolling.
I just despise that song so much, but I think you're completely right that that's what it's going to be because it has the word hero in it. So yeah. But that's going to be the moment that I'm not going to enjoy.
Or maybe she's going to sing over the montage of movie heroes. That's another possibility.
That's possible too. So maybe that's good. but that's just as bad.
That's not
really.
a heroic
We'll have
song.
to hear the song.
That's not really a heroic sounding song, though. That's like
no.
That doesn't work for that. That works for in memoriam in its theme, but you just think of Barbara Hershey dying anytime you hear that song. But
I just can't. They should just stick with the established kind of standards, the sort of tear jerky standards for this. I tell you
another thing I don't like. I'll tell you another thing I don't like. I don't like what they did last year where they had the band in a completely different location.
That's weird. That's just
odd.
Weird. I agree. I agree. It's bizarre.
There is no way to avoid a really dislocated feeling when the band isn't there.
Where the hell is the band?
Where they know it's live and they can take the temperature of, okay, when should I come in, and they know the rhythm of the acceptance speech that's going on, or I don't like it. But anyway, and how many people are they going to play off? They give them 45 seconds. Like the only really potentially surprising or enjoyable thing about these ceremonies is hearing some of the nominees and their speeches, because that is actually a spontaneous moment. That's the only spontaneous moment when they're up there having to speak in front of a billion people.
That's the moment where they have control of the show and almost anything can happen, and the Oscar producers don't have any control.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So
I'm looking forward to the opening monologue. I'm looking forward to the set, seeing what the set looked like, because I remember 2 years ago I rewatched that. Maybe it was last year. I can't remember, but they had the most gorgeous set, and yet it was such a terrible show. But the set decoration was just incredible. And I'm looking forward to, obviously, a couple of the categories, but I'm not expecting any surprises. But
no, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I would want. I would love to see June Squibb win.
Right.
Yeah. I would really love to see that. And not to begrudge the favorites in that category. I mean, everyone. That's the problem. Everyone in each of the categories, the acting categories, is extraordinary. I don't think that's the thing. And it is to be said that because everyone's so good and so tight in that regard, we have these. I mean, these are the four categories, I think, where if there's an upset, I would find that very exciting. But I just don't see that. To see June Squibb win.
This is a year when Harvey Weinstein is in front and center. I mean, that's another thing that makes this year weird.
Yeah.
Look, he even said he regretted pushing August Osage County. He
came out and said that?
Yeah. Well, how can a movie that is basically just a non-pornographic version of Taboo American Style be that good? Okay, come on. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's nothing going on in that movie that's as exciting as that. So come on. It is really. I mean, Julia Roberts is the standout, I think, in that movie. I mean, I actually do like her performance. I think she's very good. But overall, the movie. You know who else is good as Sam Shepard, even though he doesn't have much of a part. I mean, there are good performances in the movie, but it's such an Oscar baity, obvious thing. That it just you hate it when you see the ads and everything, but I do like Robert's performance in it. It is a good performance. Chris Cooper is good too.
I part with you. I think that August Osage County is actually a pretty good movie. But
it's not a bad movie, but I mean it's just too
stakey. But that's about it. That's the worst thing I can say.
You're watching a play. You're watching a stage play. I mean,
it's true.
Okay, Dean. Last words on tonight.
Last words. Just have a great time watching the show. That's all I can say. I know I will.
Are you watching it alone?
I do generally like to watch it by myself because I like to just pay attention to all the details. And if there's even one person in the room that's talking, I get very upset. So
you want to throw a can at them?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I'm watching them alone.
The Golden Globes is the one that's more fun to watch with a whole bunch of people, I think.
I watched the Golden Globes this year in my L.A. hotel room, and which was right down the street from where they're actually taking place, and I just was disappointed that it was such a bad ceremony. But I'm watching the Oscars alone, and I generally don't like to be around people when I watch it either. That and the fact that we'll be live social media-ing the Oscars tonight.
I was thinking about that, but I think I'm just going to watch it and avoid the social media.
So you can follow us if you don't want to be like Jerry and you actually want to follow us on social media tonight during the ceremony. You can go to facebook.com/Movie Geeks United. Or especially on Twitter.com/Movie Geeks Unite, and you'll hear commentary from us during this ceremony.
If I do decide to live tweet this, you're all screwed. That's all I'm saying. If I really do decide to open up that Twitter account for this, you guys are. God!
You should start a Twitter account. Debbie Downer does the Oscars, and.
Oh no! I mean, I've already. Dude, the funny thing is, the last year I've been actively using my Twitter account, and it's embarrassing. But I might. I'm still thinking it, but I don't know. I'd rather just watch it and be without all the added voices.
Yeah, well,
my feeling is, nobody's paying me or anything to live tweet the Oscars, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to sit back and watch it, just like everybody else.
We're not getting paid. I mean, we're not getting paid. I don't know if anyone is actually. getting paid.
I'm not getting paid, but I will poke in every once in a while, and I'll throw out some observations during the ceremony.
You will throw out something to us.
Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern, we'll do our live post show, so we'll give our opinions for an hour on what transpired this evening, and that'll be fun. Guys,
and I'm going to see
Coppola
tomorrow, so I'll be reporting on that as well.
Okay, I want to close off with our last clip of Billy Ray, who's nominated for Best, adapted screenplay tonight for Captain Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great screenwriter. He's working right now on working right now on The Last Tycoon as an HBO series. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, so we'll play this clip and then we'll close off with some Oscar theme music to get everybody hyped. 1 hour away. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a great time.
All right, thank you. Have fun, everyone. Good night.
Have a good time. Go 12 Years a Slave. Yay. All right, see you later.
Is this your first nomination?
It is, and I have to tell you, it's something I've wanted very, very badly for a very long time. And, what a great tip of the cap for any writer. It's such a great feeling. But the fun of it has been muted a little bit because Tom Hanks wasn't nominated, and that just kills me. And Paul wasn't nominated, Paul Greengrass, our director. And I feel that they both really deserved it. So as much as I'm thrilled for me, I feel like my team didn't get what it deserved, and particularly those two guys didn't get what they deserved. And like I said, that took a little of the shine off it for me.